You're watching News Mongolia on MNB World, and I'm your host, Jargalma Tufshinjargal. On the News Mongolia today, Mongolia showcases rich culture and landscapes at the World Travel Market 2024 to attract global tourists. Regular cabinet meeting updates. Australia and Mongolia sign new air services agreement to boost tourism and trade. For the news, stay tuned. Mongolia took part in the World Travel Market 2024, one of the most prestigious global tourism events held in London from November 4th to 6th. The country's representatives showcased Mongolia's rich cultural heritage, vast natural landscapes, and unique nomadic traditions to attract a broader international audience and boost tourism.
Under the theme Go Mongolia, Mongolia's pavilion highlights the experiences that make it a one-of-a-kind destination, with exhibits focused on its legendary hospitality, untouched landscapes, and ancient history. Through interactive displays and presentations, Mongolia invites travelers to explore its famous sites such as the Gobi Desert, the pristine Lake Khuvsgol, and the Orkhon Valley, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Tourism officials from the Ministry of Culture, Sport, Tourism and Youth of Mongolia and the Embassy of Mongolia to the United Kingdom have used the opportunity to promote the Mongolian tourism sector.
The World Travel Market 2024 focused on technology and sustainable development, drawing significant participation from around 180 businesses, primarily representing the culture and tourism sectors. While Mongolia initially aimed to attract Asian tourists in the post-COVID era, the target market has now shifted to North American and European tourists, who are considered a valuable segment.
With an impressive booth designed to transport visitors into the Mongolian steppe, the pavilion showcases traditional local cuisine and cultural performances. 9 travel agencies and tour operators from Mongolia are also present to discuss custom travel packages and partnerships with global agencies to help Mongolia expand its reach. WTM 2024 serves as an ideal platform for Mongolia to connect with travel professionals from around the world and encourage more visitors to experience the unique adventures it has to offer. By participating in such high-profile events, Mongolia aims to boost international arrivals and further develop its tourism industry as a vital part of its economy.
At the regular cabinet session held on November 13, 2024, Mongolia's minister and head of the cabinet secretariat, Ochrat Nimasor, reported on the current conditions and challenges facing state-owned enterprises, along with strategies for enhancing their performance.
Minister Ochrat has been directed to finalize the draft on state-owned enterprises and locally owned companies and present it for cabinet discussion. Following Prime Ministerial Resolution No. 44 of 2024, a working group led by Minister Ochrat was established to draft amendments to the law on state and local property, as well as to prepare the initial law on state-owned enterprises and locally owned companies. The working group is focused on refining the regulatory framework for state-owned enterprises. Key priorities include enhancing financial discipline, strengthening oversight and accountability, promoting transparency, improving corporate governance, establishing clear criteria for the creation of state-owned enterprises, and introducing regulations that address private sector expansion within these frameworks.
Now let's take a look at Mongolian current affairs.
Australia and Mongolia have reached a new air services agreement enabling up to 14 weekly passenger flights between the two countries, alongside unrestricted cargo services. This inaugural arrangement, part of Australia's recent air services negotiations with 7 international markets, aims to enhance tourism, trade, and economic connections. The Australian Minister for Infrastructure, Catherine King, stated that the expanded aviation network will increase travel options and improve connectivity. Trade and Tourism Minister Don Farrell emphasized that these additional flights will support regional economies, increase tourism, and provide new opportunities for exporters. This agreement aligns with Australia's Aviation White Paper, underscoring Australia's commitment to boosting tourism and expanding its trade footprint globally. Ambassador Nyamkho, representing Mongolia, attended the 39th Solidarissimo International Tourism Fair in Colmar, Alsace on November 9th to 10th. At the fair, known as the Salon du Tourisme et de l'Économie Solidaire, the ambassador highlighted Mongolia's natural beauty, cultural heritage, and historical landmarks to attract international tourists. Ambassador Nyamkho also discussed potential collaborations with the event organizers to promote Mongolian tourism on the Solidarissima platform. The fair, co-organized by the Solidarissima platform and the NGO Tourism Without Borders, brought together nearly 200 enterprises specializing in tourism, food services, and travel gear. Thailand was featured as the guest of honor, while Côte d'Ivoire participated as the special guest. This year, Mongolian companies such as Alta Ventures and Artisans Mongol participated in the event to promote Mongolian tourism to international businesses and travelers. Additionally, traditional Mongolian arts, including moronkhor, horsehead fiddle, throat singing, and yatak zita performances captivated audiences thanks to Mongolian artists Nimkh Jargal and Tongtlaq.
Thank you for staying with us. Here is the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Next, our program will turn our attention to foreign news, partnered with international news agencies. A senior UN official on Thursday told journalists at COP29 in Baku that the clean energy revolution happening in the world was down to hard-fought negotiations at previous COPs.
In the run-up to every COP, we obviously focus on what we have not been able to accomplish, and we are far behind where the science has told us we need to be. What I sometimes regret is that a great deal of what is now happening, and I spoke to some of the numbers before, are forgotten. These painful negotiations over the years, the agreement to have NDCs for countries to have a first and now a second generation of NDCs, these are actually the foundations on which we now see a clean energy revolution happening in the world. It would be good sometimes to report on that, because these are not instant coffee machines. The fact that it takes countries a number of years to turn NDCs into actually a significant change in the trajectory of their energy matrix and investments matters.
For the third straight year, efforts to fight climate change haven't lowered projections for how hot the world is likely to get, even as countries gather for another round of talks to curb warming, according to an analysis Thursday. At the United Nations climate talks hosted in Baku, Azerbaijan, nations are trying to set new targets to cut emissions of heat-trapping gases and figure out how much rich nations will pay to help the world with that task.
We now see a clean energy revolution.
A Russian man faced trial on Thursday on charges of high treason for a video he had allegedly sent to Ukraine's security services, the latest in a growing series of espionage cases amid the fighting in Ukraine.
The Volgograd District Court began hearing a new case against Nikita Zhuravil, who is currently serving 3.5-year sentence for publicly burning a Quran in front of mosque. The new charges against Zhuravl are based on allegations that he filmed a trainload of military equipment and warplanes in 2023 and sent the video to a representative of Ukraine's security agency. He could be sentenced to life in prison if convicted. Rights activists say Zhuravl is a political prisoner and condemned alleged violence against him in custody. While in pretrial custody before his first sentence, Zhuravl was beaten by the 15-year-old son of Ramzan Kadyrov, the Kremlin-appointed strongman leader of the Muslim region of Chechnya. The elder Kadyrov posted the video on social media and praised his son, causing public outrage. He later awarded his son with the Medal of Hero of the Republic of Chechnya. Federal authorities have refrained from any criticism of the Chechen strongman. Treason and espionage cases have skyrocketed after Russian President Vladimir Putin sent troops into Ukraine in February 2022. They have targeted a wide range of suspects, from Kremlin critics and independent journalists to veteran scientists, drawing criticism from rights groups. The legal definition of treason has been expanded to include providing vaguely defined assistance to foreign countries or organizations, effectively exposing to prosecution anyone in contact with foreigners.
NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte visited battle group exercise called Resolute Warrior in Latvia on Thursday. He was there to promote European defense spending and production of military supplies. He said that 2% defense spending by NATO allies is insufficient. Currently, some 3,500 allied troops are training at the Adazi military base in Latvia as part of Resolute Warrior.
NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte emphasized several critical issues that will require attention in the coming months. He stated that the foremost priority is ensuring Ukraine's victory and preventing Russia's President Vladimir Putin from achieving success in the conflict. Beyond this, Rutte identified two major concerns that need to be addressed. The first involves NATO's defense spending in Europe, which, including U.S. contribution, currently stands at 2%. He noted that this is simply insufficient and called for a debate on increasing spending to better equip NATO forces. The second issue Rutte raised was the shortfall in defense production. He pointed out that NATO is not producing enough to replenish its stockpiles and ensure readiness for future challenges. Rutte stressed that both defense spending and production must be increased, and he highlighted the importance of collaborating with NATO partners, particularly in the European Union and in the Pacific region, including countries like Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand, to address these concerns.
This is crucial. The United States is an integral part of NATO. They have founded the alliance. They are not into NATO because of some historical reason that they didn't want to repeat the mistake after the First World War, not to repeat the mistake after the Second World War. They know that this is an integral part of their defense, of our collective defense. And sometimes we talk about frontline states. Let me make absolutely clear. The Netherlands and France and the United Kingdom are frontline states. We are there together with the Baltics, Poland, all the other member states of NATO. We are all frontline states. There is not a frontline state which is closer to Russia or farther away from Russia. And we need the US, and the US needs us, we need each other to work on this. It was Trump who, from 2016 onwards, was pushing us on this part of NATO to spend more on defense. Look what's happening on Latvia, moving up to north of 3.5%, overall EU, NATO now at 2%, and we need to do more. We need to ramp up industry production. So on all of this, we need the US needs us, we are together in NATO, all for one for all.
All right, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you next week with more news and updates. Have a nice weekend. Goodbye.